My name is Lucia Alves. After many decades in the entertainment industry, I have decided to create, in partnership with my husband, Cine Tribe. This is a haven and an alternative to Hollywood. How are you?
Nice to meet you.
Finally. Nice to meet you.
Yeah.
I'm very excited. Thank you. I'm so glad you made the time. So Raj, thank you for coming and joining us today. And we will talk about wonderful things in your work and the mind and the body. And you are specialized in body in a way, in a sense, because you are a dancer. And you have this wonderful dance company in Amsterdam that you have created with family members, and you're teaching this beautiful dance. So it's called Samadhi.
Yes.
And why is it called Samadhi?
Well, actually, it was a very spontaneous happening how Samadhi was founded. I was reading into Ayurveda at that time. I was healing from surgery. And my first job, so to say, just after the surgery, was a collaboration with a jazz composer, and he was really excited, and it was very, very inspiring collaboration. And he requested me to have some more dancers join me after our collaboration to expand it. And again, spontaneously, dancers joined. I was trying some things out with dancers, just exploring. And at that time, I was reading into the chapter of this book called Ayurveda and the Mind about Samadhi. And I thought it was just kind of the essence of what we try to do on stage, but with art, that at that moment, we absorb into the present and everything else just fades into the background, and we kind of become one with the moment. And I feel as a performer and as a viewer, when you come to that place, it's magic. So I felt that's like my aim. And I thought it was just a beautiful word. And I didn't feel, sometimes artists, they put their own name on the troupe or on their own work. And I was very aware of, just coming from the ballet company world, that it's very easy to fall into the I, me, mine feeling when you create.
Sure.
So I felt like giving it into the purpose of the work, which is to be absorbed in the present. So yeah, I just said Samadhi that company, and I didn't even have any ambition to really have a company and continue that, but it just started flowing, and I kept it that way. I thought it was just very appropriate to what we're trying to do.
Totally. Yes, and this kind of ties up with the Cine Tribe endeavor here, where we are very much about cinema, but of course cinema includes dance and physical expression.
Yes.
We say that the star is the method. The star is the work.
Beautiful.
And so that ties a lot with that, because Hollywood is very egocentric, and it's too trippy. So we decided, okay, if the art is the star, then everybody that contributes to it is also a star. There's
Beautiful.
no hierarchy in a way. It's like, okay, the cook is a star that day because we need
Yeah,
to be fed. So he's also a star. So that's very sweet.
exactly.
So you have a few things you have done lately, and I noticed that you talk about from the inside out.
Yes.
How do you utilize this in your work?
Well, when I was still at that same time when I started just exploring what I would like to do with dance, that was my main question. What is actually the purpose of it? It's so easy to fall into the aim to pray, to get praised and to accomplish some kind of status. And I felt that couldn't be it. Um, I went into studying the emotions, and just the word emotion I thought was just a beautiful word. It literally means, motion, movement. That's exiting E. So in a way, dance is emotion. So then I start feeling that yes, it has to come from within, because it is a manifestation of an emotion. It's almost like an expanding of the movement that you're feeling within. And when it's coming from the inside, there is this authentic and truthful quality.
Like a
It's not
connection in a way, I feel like it's very, that as an artist as well as when I do acting, there is a magic moment that when you are connected with your true self,
exactly
with we can say the divine or the higher, you know, yourself in a way that you are connected, it's so much more powerful. It's like you tap into
exactly
something else. So that's
exactly.
that's why you call that insight. It's beautiful. I love your work. I'm like such a fan. I do. I'm such a fan. So last year or the year before, you did something gorgeous. I mean, everything you do is gorgeous, even your pictures, everything. I just love it all. But you did something really beautiful in London,
Mm.
at the Apollo Theatre. So tell us a little bit about that, please.
Oh yeah, that was just a very precious project. Basically, it was a celebration of the arrival of Srila Prabhupada in London 50 years ago, that time. And I was requested to create a dance performance, just kind of telling the story of his journey in the Jaladuta and the ship, and his travel from India to America. um, which was just one of those incredibly difficult as well. Like, how would you put that into dance? So my aim at that time was I don't want to fall into kind of a literal narration. It becomes kind of fragile. I think that drama is much more appropriate for that approach. So I decided to give kind of an emotional and energetic expression of his experience, so that faith and just following the instructions of his guru to leave India on this impossible mission, materially speaking, impossible, then having, this, very, very horrific in a way experience on that ship, having in the middle of a stormy ocean, and then arriving into the States with nothing and just being homeless for 10 months. So, and I was blessed it would be the opening of that program. So I went into like a very deep study and meditation, really trying to channel how I could use our gifts in a way that could be sincere and really try to connect that human aspect of suffering and faith and hopelessness into our being, so we could be truthful in our expression and not just feel that we are kind of just giving forms. So basically that was the project. That whole evening was a celebration of his arrival.
Beautiful. And it was quite dramatic because, as you said, so old, with no money. He was almost 70. Is that correct?
Exactly,
Money.
69, yeah.
That is amazing, amazing accomplishment, the historical accomplishment as well. So that's
Exactly.
fabulous.
I'm trying little bit, and you are all helping me. So I have to thank you more. You are actually representative of my Guru Maharaj. Because you are helping me in executing the order of my Guru Maharaj. Thank you very much.
So what is your plans for the future? I like also for you to explain, or if you want to share, the the wonderful students you have and how it works, where it is, and what is your process a little bit.
I mean, beautiful question. I'll try to, give a brief answer to that, which is going to be difficult. Basically, also when I started with the work, my aim was to give a place to those souls that are more sensitive, perhaps different, that don't fit in. So we would make this joke when we started that we were so-called misfits. We were always told that we were very talented, but we had some fragility in our personality, but that was actually our strength in the company. We always said, any pain, any vulnerability, any weakness, any trauma in a way is such a source for transformation into beautiful, authentic art. So that's really my aim. And the form of that, it's just never been like a formula. I myself, for years, have been really fascinated with cinema. I always felt there is some limitation in theater. I love to guide the eyes to what we're trying to share. And even if you look at the production cost for one performance, it's so excessive, it's not sustainable. And then we see theaters struggle to survive. So that's been already the status quo for years. And now we have the pandemic. So in a way, our world is upside down, but it's a problem that we're facing that has been there already. And how can we be still relevant to the world, not just the dance community or the spiritual community, but really to how can we make this work universal? So that's where we have to use our creativity. And that's where I feel that dance cinema at the moment is really taking on different forms that are more accessible. And it's just, dance in the way I always said that it's kind of like, paintings, music, drama, fashion, it all comes together. So we can approach it from kind of a wider perspective. There is really no limitation there, but we have to mind.
Yes.
So I'm interested to see how can we approach that genre and bring it together where the best of both worlds can really manifest. So I love to see dancers act also, to use their faces to be more expressive, use their hands and even how they use their skull, so to say, versus just looking for, not saying just looking, but beyond virtuosity of muscles. And there's so much more to say with the body.
Sure.
And then working with students, that's always been I always say that they relativate my ambitions.
Wonderful.
Because we can get really caught up with becoming more innovative and more impressive. And then when you work with children, they're so open and transparent, and they just pick up
Wonderful.
on it.
They're like a white slate and plain, one
Exactly.
page, and you can just imprint in them.
Yes, and they imprint exactly. Yes, that energy that you carry, they mimic. So it's in a way, it's a mirror. But at the same time, they also bring their own story. They're still very connected with their true self. So they are always teaching me to stay more connected with myself and not get caught up with the so-called success and failure.
Exactly. And also they sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but I think that my best audience was my son. At 4 or 5 years old, and when I was doing theater in Paris, I used to play to him first, because if he didn't laugh or if he didn't feel anything, I would just know I wasn't on the right path. They're very honest. So it's great to work with them, right? Because if they don't like it, they will tell you, right?
It's just like, like you would feel like, oh, it goes flat. And it's good because you have to go a little deeper. Mainly, they are inspired if you're inspired. If you're happy, they're happy. They don't really want a lot from you yet. And
wonderful.
And the new generation is incredibly, they're so gifted. I mean, I think that's the positive side of video and social media, is that they have access to see so much, and they pick up on what they like. They still have that connection with what they like. So I see these really young souls doing just incredible things, like physically, that I'm like, how is that even possible? And I still feel, because of that, I still feel very inspired to continue having that place, that safe haven for creative souls like that to continue their talent, because it is difficult nowadays. Like, where do these beautiful souls go if they want to be professional?
Right. Well, this is wonderful, because this is exactly what we are aiming for as well, is because I always felt like a misfit in my whole life in society, because of being so sensitive to so many deeper things. And I think there's so many of us, that kind of feel very lonely, that not misunderstood, and then pushed into doing things that you don't want to do, and jobs that you don't fit in. And so this is a wonderful thing, because you can create, like we are doing here. We say sometimes we play, because being in Mexico and so many movies, the theme of also is like misfits and rebels in a way, because of all the movies that, if they do anything wrong in America, they all head to Mexico. They're like, how can we go to Mexico? So we thought that would be a fun thing to do as well, because so many they don't fit in, and they can just say, okay, so I can go someplace where I will be understood. So the future is continue with your company. And do you have a next show you're preparing for now? Something that you are creating now?
Well, I think it's a very deep question, actually. I don't really have plans. I've been very focused on the future. Age 11, I was like, I'm going to be a dancer and this is my goal. And the last few years, everything started like just flipping. And then this happened in a way I was like, I have to let go of all that. It's just, I don't feel that this is an era where we can get too caught up with the future. It's unclear. And I feel that now is the time of acceptance. And the time of acceptance is meaning that, no, you don't know. And is being hopeful really an answer? Or is it about being, having faith and having trust and just going with your guts? And that's a very kind of, dancers are so attached to structure, because that's their only safety net. In a way, everything's so fragile. Sure. But life is exactly that. So I don't know. And I'm actually kind of comfortable in that place, because the moment I didn't know, somebody kind of came to me. It sounds perhaps a bit crazy, but I don't feel it's really something of me. It lives on anyway.
Right.
So I feel more inclined to say, actually, the moments that I start planning, it was a very difficult time in my life. You create expectations, you have this idea, this form, it becomes much more of a mind thing.
Right.
And I feel that, you know, I always tell my students there's two ways to approach dance. We use improv with that, is that, or you get surprised with what's happening, or you get frustrated that it's not happening the way you want it to happen.
Oh, right.
And
You can
that
approach
one,
life like that, right? It's almost like the control, and then you will talk about the mind as well. It's like we have a tendency to want it to control
Exactly.
the exterior of us, when
exactly.
the best thing to do is to control what is in us, and then
Yes.
you know, be more spontaneous. And art is so spontaneous. So
Exactly.
so you prefer exactly at this time as well. I feel that it's so hard to make plans, like you said, this
Yes.
year, especially for entertainers and artists. It's like, it's almost
Exactly.
like the first thing it was removed is our jobs. So
Exactly.
so you are playing more organically, I believe.
Yeah, start focusing on how can I actually change my perspective within these difficult circumstances? Not so much about, oh, once this is better or this changes, I will be better. I felt that's just, you give away your personal power and you're kind of waiting. You're waiting. So in
Yeah.
a way, I see, you know, people respond to the pandemic. I was just speaking to a very beloved student of mine. She's 66 and she has MS. And
Oh,
she always deeply inspires me because she dances because it's like about enjoying life. And I said, you
right.
know, I really feel like we're just waiting. What are we waiting really for? It's
Right.
all happening now. And artists, I feel our job, our beautiful mission is to give that visual and energetic expression of what's happening in society. So if you're busy just focusing on this plan, I don't think it's a time. I think it's a time to listen.
Very much so.
Yeah,
It's like I think intuition, we have to develop that, a lot of
exactly.
intuition to go forward. There is a major change in the
Yeah,
whole field of existence, and
exactly.
and going more inside and trying to understand your true emotions and
Yes,
yourself and how you relate to the world. I think
exactly.
it's we I think as a society in general, we just had put that aside for so many decades
Yeah,
that actually we've been forced into this. You know, it's like forced vacation, um, and to interiorize and to look inside and look deeper into everything that is happening. Take responsibility as well. In a way, I feel that,
yeah,
you know, take responsibility for our actions. You know, I
yeah,
think we
exactly.
went down to a road as a group, you know, as human beings. We went down on a road that was kind of like, at least from what I see, it was a little bit like, is it really where we should be heading? And so it almost feels like the universe said, okay, wrong road,
Yes,
come this
exactly.
way. And I'm very blessed. Oh, you have a kitty. Sweet.
Yeah, I have a new baby. It's Kuvera.
Oh,
Hello.
gorgeous. What's his name?
Kuvera. He's 7 months now, so he's
Oh,
very
love
wild
love
and
cats.
oh, I love animals, and especially cats. And he's one of those another soul in my life that reminds me of the now.
Exactly.
And
It's
he always reminds me that we need very little actually to be content. He
and
loves very easily, and
yes, and they also they don't if they don't want to see you, they make sure, you know, it's very honest as well. It's like, okay, I don't, not now.
exactly,
Is they're really
exactly,
cute.
exactly.
So I was thinking about, you know, the mind, because you were saying that, you know, that you using the body, there's this whole constitution, right? So it's very easy to be either in the future or in the past with the mind, and being in the body in the moment, it's super hard.
Yes.
And dance helps you do that, right? So I'm like a natural dancer. I just never took down that road, and I just love it. And I hope one day I will dance with you.
Yeah. Wow.
But
That would be wonderful.
yeah, it would be great. And but I'm thinking, like, that is a good grounding exercise in the body, to be in the moment and to even momentarily experience that
Yeah.
peace of being in the moment and having your mind under control. So how do you feel about that, and how do you you know pass that along to your students, or even in your shows, in your
Yeah. Well,
performances?
I first want to also say what you just said before about, how your view on what's happening in the world, very, very beautiful. I completely agree. It's that shifting, and part of your question now is also about that shift. I feel I've always seen dance as a kind of a parallel with spiritual life. If you're not connected to the moment, you're suffering so much more. You're just caught up with the mistake you just did or what's coming next, and you're just frantic. And it shows immediately. And dance is kind of like, it just shows immediately. And you can, especially when I start working more as a choreographer, I was just amazed how easily you can see it happen, versus when you're the dancer, you're so caught up. You have these ideas and feelings that you see as truth, and you're very easily into some kind of illusion coming from a thought or some conviction that someone told you this once, and you get caught up with the thought. So I usually say, like, mind to body. So that means that, even just starting with the listening exercises where we listen is the easiest way to be present. It's just a matter of listening. And then we have 3 ranges in listening, um, you know, very local. So my own breath, my breathing, then like around us, and then far. And like my favorite teacher, he would say we can actually travel through space with listening. And then the seeing, when I look at you and I really look, I'm present. And it's not difficult, but you have to be reminded.
Yes.
So the idea, so when people get,
But
yes,
people hear you, but they are not listening. They're
no, and you have to
they're in
catch
their
them.
head thinking, okay, what am I going to say, right?
Yes, yes,
Listening is
exactly.
vital.
And they're very caught up with achieving something, and the journey is the goal. Dancers, what's beautiful about a dancer's character, I think an artist's character, is that they enjoy the struggle. If it just comes to them, they usually don't continue. They have this sense of, oh, I have to work for this, I have to train, and they see that the practice makes, perhaps not perfect, but it increases that freedom of movement. So they know it's about the work, and that builds integrity. And when you go into that mood, every time they go back into the head, looking for some kind of perfectionism or approval or validation, you see them get caught up, they suffer unnecessarily. And then I say, the work is hard enough. Just focus on doing that exercise fully. So I usually say, like, stretch your whole being and work with your whole body. Don't get caught up with just the shoulder or just the rib. Feel the whole movement and connect with all of it. It's not you and the space, it's you in the space. And then the first thing when I see they get caught up is like, see.
So you
And
get to experience this thing, which is amazing.
yes,
I'm totally with you, and I fully understand that by practicing this, you can experience the moment
yes,
much deeper. And then
yeah,
you just, I mean, honestly, that you just become a better person naturally, right?
yeah, happier. Because the idea is also, usually when they get, when they have this perfectionistic nature, I first start like, you're a perfectionist, no? And they go like, yes. And there's a side of them that's proud of it and embarrassed. And I said, that's wonderful. I first start, you know, how do you say, reassuring them that their shadow side, their ego, is not their enemy. It's part of that full being. So I said, well, let's define or redefine perfectionism. Basically, the perfect you is the happy you. So do you feel happy with this? We're not talking about like, yay, but that happy.
Right.
So happy that you want to repeat yourself. Content.
Yeah.
And yes, and even if you're suffering, that you still feel like coming back the next day. You know, what we're trying to do is to be artists with a long career. That it's like we want to come back the next day. We want to face this struggle. We want to go through that little, you know, we have another wall in our project. How are we going to go through this? How can I be inspired and surprised and not feeling defeated and insignificant with it? Yes, I'm small, but that's great because I can let go of all of that that's heavy. And that which is light.
Also, which is exciting to have a challenge. Yeah. And it's expanding also in your consciousness, right? When you have a challenge.
Yeah. The challenge, that's when you do the work, that's really increasing your self-confidence. It's not achieving something really that gives you that, you know, as artist, the hardest moment for me as an artist is just after the project.
The coming down, you know? From it.
Yeah, but also there's two things there, the ambivalence. So you get that applause and everybody loves you, and then you sit alone in the dressing room, you're taking off your makeup and it's weird.
Yes.
You feel very alone.
Yes.
And the next day is like, I had this song I would sing with my dancers, and it would go through my head for days, and it would go like, just don't know what to do with myself.
Right.
Because we like the work. We like that struggle, that challenge. If we feel like, oh yeah, this is it's inspiring me. It's bigger than me. Sure. It's when we feel connected something that's bigger than us, that we feel this. And so, yeah, I really try to make them connected.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry?
Yeah, I didn't. It's the sharing as well that I think it's so natural of the human being. It's this giving, constant giving. It's like I feel that very strongly. I have like this energy and this source of so much I want to express and give. And the moment, you know, I think that maybe on when you dance or when we do theater, it's like, and it's ended, it's like that flow of energy and this necessity of giving of yourself to other humans and to the environment. It's like, oh my God, what am I going to do with myself now? It's like, who am I going to give this to, right?
Exactly. And it's the most blessed moments is where you're on stage and you really are present. You see even like the dots on the floor and that light and that face. And I feel so at home, and time stops and I get off that stage and I'm like, oh, I want to do it again. You know, like it's just
can we start over?
Yeah, again. And yeah, you're just so connected. And I love what you just said about the sharing. Even when we speak about, you know, when I'm speaking more like to my peers from the spiritual community and they speak about preaching, I said, yeah, I gave that up because I just would feel inadequate. I wouldn't feel I'm the person to tell you, because I have so many questions about myself and about life. Sure. But I can share with you my experience.
Yes, totally.
And what's going on inside, so that step to be fragile on stage, to be exposed. And like you said before, there's no hierarchy. It's not about you. Look at me. It's no, I'm sharing this with you. So you watching me is really important. Mm-hmm. So it's a mutual, it's a conversation. The viewer is as important as the performer, because it's the sharing, it's that energy between us.
Yes.
Where the magic is.
They are offering you their time and attention. Exactly. And that's so precious, you know?
Exactly.
I think as an artist, to keep just honoring that is so beautiful, because they are investing in you, even if it's 2 hours of their life, you know? and
It's very
and
special.
then so that reciprocation is very important.
Exactly.
So so do you travel right at this time? Are you planning any traveling? I know you there's not much planning lately, but how is it feeling in Amsterdam? And is it a place where you want to expand your doings? Do you want to expand it further into the world? Maybe next year sometime you feel like this can grow even more.
Um, well, I am actually based in a village near Amsterdam, so it's quite peaceful here. I know in the city, usually I love being in the city, especially Amsterdam, because it's very this creative energy and people are just really working. They're very active. And being in the village was a bit hard for me because it's more like people are very focused on each other.
Yeah.
But at the
I
moment,
mean, not to interrupt, but I love Amsterdam. I went there
yeah,
with my
it's
son, who's
special.
5 years old, and I will never forget how warm and how, I was living in Paris at the time, and they would try to speak whatever language you spoke. It's like, okay,
Exactly.
what language do you speak? Or they would try, and I was
Yeah.
amazed, the culture. And I was there twice. I went the second time with my husband, but it was so a powerful community, and this is what we are building with Cine Tribe, is this community, this sense
Yes.
of community, even in a city, which is unusual. I imagine that you miss that, in a village where it's more centric probably,
Yeah.
but Amsterdam, it's the openness, the kindness,
Yeah.
the sense of community of what is it that you need? Do you need anything? And I was surprised because it's unusual.
Yeah. It's very special. I mean, I know that in general, like especially Amsterdam, is very welcoming. It is changing, unfortunately. It's because it's becoming more expensive, so it's attracting more like rich youth, which is a bit difficult. I won't say anything negative about that, but I know that my colleagues who are, not Dutch, they struggle with that, seeing that change. That very open, creative energy is becoming more and more like. mm,
Rigid, a little more
for
rigid,
rich people, yeah,
yeah.
the centers is it's because it's so popular more and more around Amsterdam. It still has that energy of community. I'm lucky though, because the school that I lead with my sisters, with my two sisters, we have our own community in a way, and it's just although we're very different in this village, they really they give us so much appreciation. So
Wonderful.
I feel especially blessed in these times. We always say we have like a pink bubble here. We're
One,
aware of what's happening, but in this school,
yeah,
everything here we just let go, and we're here to dance from the heart. And that's like our tagline is like dance from the heart where it starts.
sure.
Yeah, I'm very happy with that right now. I love traveling, like especially the last few years. Every month I was in a different city, different country. But I had to say at one point I did feel quite exhausted living out of my suitcase and just always moving. But for a while, there's been plans to work more in London. There's a lot of like-minded artists there that are just doing beautiful art, Bhakti art. I love what's happening at the Bhakti Center in New York. I love being at the Govardhan Eco Village in India. They're just doing incredible projects.
Lovely.
And I see that there's more and more interest and attraction to holistic dance. So dance for everyone, and how it's connected to health, to healing, and how it's connected to spirituality. And especially working with people who have disabilities, I feel dance is it's appreciated so much more. So I do hope that us dancers, especially professional dancers, start reaching out beyond our community as well. The same actually for us spiritualists, whatever stream you're coming from, to really dare to step into the whole world and really to seize these divisions that we create. I feel that it's so easy to fall into this tendency of division. You're that and you're that, but the whole purpose, especially with art, is to create that universal connection. So when the time is right, I'm sure, Krishna will send me somewhere
Well,
or not. And
I have a plan for you.
Well, I am always interested in.
Yeah, I am hoping really sincerely that next year when we inaugurate Cine Tribe, the location in the jungle here, I would like you to come, at least 5 of you, to do a performance. So my plan would be do the opening with one of your performances, because it's all about community. It's all about a safe place for artists to express themselves and experiment and to create. So you're totally part of it, and I'm grateful. And we can maybe do, being that you will be here, let's say for 4 or 5 days, we can also do a performance in this beautiful hotel on the beach, but in this environment, which is Caribbean Sea. It's warm and it's sunny and very colorful. And so, we start spreading the beauty that you create even further, because it's totally amazing. And yeah, so I have plans for you. I don't know, it's like they say, you want to see God laugh, make a plan, but you never know if it's pleasing. We might.
I mean, that's a beautiful forecast. Wow, thank you. Just even of thinking for that, thinking of that is really, yeah, I don't know what to say. It just sounds like a dream, and we would love to.
It's my dream too. So, we can always dream, we can always share. And for me, the appreciation of each other, also to keep each other, like that you say, it's like a little bubble. It's like, keep each other looking the right direction, keep up the work. That's very important for us here. So I want to thank you so much for being with me at this time. And this, maybe we will do it again next year sometime as you create more things. Send my love to your sisters and your dad. And yes, and keep it up. If you need us for anything, we are here. And I look forward to having you guys here for an amazing time together. Really,
beautiful.
Thank you so much.
Such a pleasure to meet you, and it's just actually, I saw such beautiful things, but it's even much better than I anticipated. So very warm, very kind and inspiring. So I'm very touched. Thank you. Thank you very much.
So much. Thank you, love. Have a lovely afternoon. Evening almost for you, right?
Well, it's dark, but it's 5. I start teaching now, so my day starts with the.
I know. You're just on time. All right. Lots of love. Thank you.